The latest movie to be released on Netflix is called Straw, and the brains behind this real thought-provoking piece is Tyler Perry, as it was written, directed, and produced by him. Following a woman called Janiyah who's struggling in life but is doing all that she can to survive and give her daughter the most normal of upbringings whilst also getting help from nobody whatsoever. This movie felt like a true commentary piece on the lengths that people go to before they're finally able to be seen, and the harsh reality of the fact that there are people out there that are struggling, being silent, and aren't getting the help that they need. With a twist about Janiyah's daughter Aria that caught me right off guard. Let's dive into the movie, break down the ending, and I'll also share what that twist truly meant. So let's get into it. Here is Straw, twist and ending explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The twist explained. The big twist in this movie came right at the end when Janiyah received a phone call from her mother saying that she saw her on the news and that she was confused as to why she was robbing the bank. Janiyah responded and said that she wasn't robbing the bank, but that all she wanted was to cash her check so that she could get the $40 so Aria could pay for her school meals and not be teased anymore. It was at this moment where her mother revealed that Aria actually died the previous evening following one of the seizures that she had. This twist was actually hinted to us earlier on in the movie, around 40 minutes before it was revealed. Janiyah said, "Ever since I was in the hospital with Aria, I stepped outside and something broke. I've not been the same since." And we obviously saw with the reveal of Aria being dead that she most definitely wasn't the same when she left the hospital because she was acting like she was still alive. The movie then proceeded to show us that everything that we'd seen that day which featured Aria wasn't actually real, and it was almost like a hallucination of Janiyah's. This is why the teacher looked confused when she drove to the school and was waving at nobody. She wasn't actually giving her daughter a bath during the beginning, and the phone call from the school never actually happened. I actually feel like Child Protective Services saying she'll be in safe hands with that echoed muffled sound felt reflective of the fact that she died and was now in safe hands in the afterlife. Janiyah was almost in denial about the fact that Aria had died, and it was as if she was grieving in a completely different way. She almost couldn't believe that her daughter was dead because the news was so groundbreaking and hard-hitting for her. She'd essentially been doing all that she could to survive and protect her daughter, not only from the external threats that she was facing, such as the eviction notices, the living situation, and the teasing from the students for not having money for lunch, but also there were the internal issues, which were the health problems that she had. Janiyah herself said that she's all I have, and without her daughter, she quite literally had nothing. So when we found out that Aria was actually dead, and when she realized that she was dead, it was a hard-hitting moment. This is also why I think there were two different versions of the ending. The one where she ended up getting shot by the police, and the one where there was the sympathetic Detective Raymond that was there when she got arrested and was placed in the car. The one with her being killed showed the fierce hand that she'd been dealt in life, and the way in which she'd been treated by all of those that were around her. And with her dying, in fact, being killed, it showed that she had nothing left to live for due to her daughter being gone, and she went out being viewed the same way as she was throughout the entirety of her life. But then I'd also say the one with her getting in the car after being arrested, where she survived but went to jail, it showed that there was actually somebody that had finally listened to her. Somebody that was walking in similar shoes to what she was and had also lived and breathed the life that she was in. So there was that sense of sympathy for her. I think you could argue that it's down to us to decide which one is the true ending of the movie. One is definitely happier because she survived and got to see the support that was there for her, but I wouldn't call it a happy ending in the slightest. And then there was the other, which painted a haunting end to a life where a person was dealt a really bad hand and never received any help. But I'd say the twist was one that definitely worked, and whilst I didn't necessarily expect it, it was painful to watch because you could see the pain that Janiyah was in. The deeper meaning of the movie. When it came to the deeper meaning of Straw, I feel like this feature was all about seeing the sort of life that people can live and how they almost fall into the shadows and that their suffering and struggling doesn't truly get seen. All Janiyah wanted in her life was a helping hand. In fact, it's all she actually needed. Somebody to just check in and see if she was okay. But whatever situation she found herself in, she was the victim in it. For example, she was facing eviction. Her boss was awful towards her and wasn't treating her fairly. He wouldn't give her the check that she needed to resolve some of the issues. The cop wasn't looking out for her and threatened to blow her brains out. The other one issued her a ticket and her landlord made her homeless. even throwing Aria's medication on the side of the road. All of these things were happening to her, and she was simply just trying to get through the day whilst also managing the death of her daughter. There was no sympathy from anybody, there was no empathy from others, and even with all of the hard times that she was going through, she was still finding a way to do right by the people that mattered to her, as we saw with her giving the homeless guy money when she herself didn't have much. The line that she said during the phone call with Detective Raymond was arguably one of the most powerful lines in the entirety of the movie. She said, "Nobody cares, nobody sees us. This is my life, over and over and over. I just don't know what to do." It showed in life, one situation can quickly turn into another until it snowballs and then it gets completely out of control. There was a placard that one of the people at the rally of support was holding up, which was, "Your silence is deafening," and that one really stood out to me. Janiyah had stayed silent in life, just moving through it. She wasn't close with anybody, she didn't look for lots of support, she just suffered in silence. The silence which was in fact deafening. Because when we saw behind the doors of her home and the fact that she had eviction letters everywhere, no gas, and was living in a home where there wasn't even the luxury of peace, it showed that if anybody should have spoken up and been heard, it should have been her. And we saw that once she did, when she was on the phone and it was heard by everybody on the live stream, people did actually listen, it resonated, and then they actually empathized with an alleged bank robber. Something that would never ordinarily happen. But what it also showed was that it was too late, because by the time she did speak and people decided to listen, she'd reached her last straw, which is what I think the movie is titled after, because there were a ton of straws that she was dealing with that day. It took Janiyah to reach breaking point and to get to a point of no return for people to actually listen to her. And the sad reality in all of that is that can often be the case that's present in real life as well. People suffer in silence, alone, and face the fierce side of the coin of life, and it's a life that can be difficult to navigate. Some stay in it, and it ends up being the death of them, which is what we saw with Janiyah, and others sometimes manage to make it out of there, such as Detective Raymond. My review of the movie. I thought this was a pretty good movie. I don't think it's incredible, but it's a movie where you do really feel for the main character. Taraji P. Henson absolutely killed the role of Janiyah, as you felt that struggle that she had through the screen. The phone call that she delivered about 50 minutes into the movie, which pretty much summed up exactly how she was feeling, and the entire plot of the movie was just great. The emotion was so convincing, and I also liked the way that everybody was just listening at that point, across all walks of life and even those that were once against her. When we found out that Aria was actually dead, the way that it was revealed was so good. It cut to complete silence, and then as we saw the day being replayed back to us without Aria within it, the string quartet piece that was playing really complemented the scene, and I thought it worked so well in drawing out that emotion, allowing it to then reach its crescendo with Janiyah in tears. I'd say that at its core, the story is relatively basic and simplistic, but the message within it is something that you definitely walk away from feeling the weight of and truly understanding. It's just told so well, and the powerful moments hit you at the right times throughout the runtime. In fact, the runtime of this movie only being just over an hour and a half is the perfect amount of time for it. It didn't drag on for too long, it didn't feel too short either. It just managed to tell the story in a concise way where I was constantly engaged. One performance that I think is underrated in this movie is the character Richard, the grocery store boss, who was played by Glyn Turman. The attitude that he had and the rudeness towards Janiyah was just so excellently performed, and I love this moment where he was smiling at the customer and then he looked at Janiyah and his whole demeanor and expression just changed. He was a really well performed character. So in terms of if this movie's worth a watch, I'd say that it definitely is. It's an easy ride, and it's one where you leave feeling like you've taken something away from it. We are the ears and eyes that listen and watch Janiyah's deterioration, because nobody else in her world did. Give this movie a watch and let me know what you think. So, there you have it, Straw's twist and ending explained. If you want to see more of your favourite TV series and movies being broken down, then check the playlist below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What did you think of Straw? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.